And now on to what is quite possibly my favourite series of graphic novels. I've read all of these, it's still ongoing, it's a huge epic of a series. God only knows when it'll end because it shows no signs of slowing down at the moment. And that is The Walking Dead. Now, I absolutely love this. Zombie films are some of my favourite movies. I seriously love the zombie genre. And to have a series like this, which is very much inside the kind of Romero universe almost, very much that style of zombie cinema. These books are brilliant, and it's just, you know, every zombie film comes to a point where it has to end, but it just keeps going. It's absolutely brilliant. It's basically about a character called Rick, who in 28 Days Later style wakes up out of a coma, and basically the shit's hit the fan and the dead are walking. He has to find his wife and son, and basically deal with lots of different survivors, lots of different relationships that are established along the way, and just try to survive. And it's amazing. Now, Volume 1 I do think is brilliant, but it does suffer from some kind of cliches, but they're forgivable because it does have a great pace to it, and you can get it read in like half an hour. If you soak up the images and everything, it takes about half an hour, and it's absolutely brilliant. Then you've got Volume 2, which is called Miles Behind Us. This is really where the conflicts between the characters are established and kind of grow as well organically. And that's one thing I do like about it. The characters feel real. Now, when I was reading Volume 1, I didn't think that I'd be able to engage with the characters for some reason. But seriously, by Volume 2, you really do. So that's absolutely brilliant. Then we've got Volume 3, Safety Behind Bars. Now this is where the first major kind of plot line of the series starts, and they basically find a prison which they decide to clear out and live there. And they're there for a few good issues of the novel. I think it's almost like, is it 6 issues or something? Let's have a look. Right. We get The Heart's Desire next. All this takes place in the prison, and they're all really good stories. I don't want to say too much about them, but because for anybody who hasn't read them, it'd be a crime to spoil them. But I do want to say that The Walking Dead successfully manages to introduce new characters and make them likeable. Like, there is some new characters introduced that I love more than the originals, and it's not often that works, but I think The Walking Dead pulls it off. We've then got The Best Defense. And as you can see there comes a point where they discover like riot gear in the prison, so that's just basically boosts their confidence at surviving, which kind of is short-lived, but I won't go into that. Then we've got This Sorrowful Life. All this that takes place in the prison is really, really good stuff, and I must admit I was scared at first because the issue 3, when they get into the prison, thought, yeah, this is really good shit, but it's going to outstay its welcome. But it doesn't, because they do it in a realistic way. Robert Kirkman writes it so that it feels logical that they'd be there for this amount of time, and you don't get bored of that setting. He manages to make it seem fresh in every book. It's strange how he does it, but if you read it, you'll know what I mean. Then we've got The Calm Before. Now, this deals with the idea of pregnancy in a zombie outbreak, which is quite interesting. And I quite like the idea of a child being born and never knowing what the world was like. They're going to be born into this apocalypse, and I thought that was quite an interesting notion. Then we've got Made to Suffer. Right, now this is basically, mild spoiler, alright, mild spoiler. This is the book where you realise that nobody is safe. Like, they take some well-established characters and just give them the axe, literally at times. I thought this book was absolutely brilliant because I read, like, I think it was, say, 5, 6 and 7 back-to-back in an afternoon because I was so addicted to it. Got to Volume 8, and it's like a fucking gut punch, it really is. And it's brilliant for it. I honestly love it when the writers make you fall in love with a character and then destroy them in front of you. Think it's absolutely brilliant. And at this point, the main character Rick is beginning to, he basically doesn't resemble the person he was in Volume 1, which I really like as well. He does have an arc and grows as a character, and again, it's not often that happens in like a kind of not trashy graphic novel, but it's very much a genre piece. And I think the fact that they managed to construct such realistic characters within it is brilliant. So yeah, that's Made to Suffer. Then we've got Here We Remain. Now this is a very dark novel, and it really takes a turn for the worse in terms of the characters, because Rick begins to become almost mentally unstable. Now I won't go into the circumstances or anything, but it's quite interesting to see his character deal with this kind of shit. Then we've got What We Become, another good one. Don't want to say too much because we get into this kind of spoilery stuff now. And then Fear the Hunters, a good book, a bit predictable, but I really enjoyed it. I actually, it's when they encounter another group of survivors. I think it's in either this issue or issue 10. Basically encounter a group of cannibals, and I think it's handled really well. And it could become cliche, but it doesn't. It's slightly predictable, but it's brilliant. So yeah, that's Fear the Hunters. Now volume 12, which last time I checked didn't have a title, that's due out in the next couple of months, and I can't wait. But for anybody thinking about getting into graphic novels, The Walking Dead is just absolutely brilliant. It's a brilliant series, it's very rewarding, and you can get the compendium on amazon.co.uk, which is the first 8 issues, or 8 volumes rather, rolled into one, and it's like £25, which works out a lot cheaper than buying them separately. So for anybody who wants to get into The Walking Dead, I recommend you do that and buy the compendium, because it's 25 quid, the first 8 volumes, and as I said, volume 8 is a fucking gut punch. So basically you get the first kind of big multi-book arc in one book, and it's absolutely brilliant, so I recommend picking that up. What I did think was quite cool is, I don't know if this comes across really because my bed's slightly uneven, but when you put all the books together, these zombies down here at the bottom of the covers, they all link up and make one big picture, as you can see here. Now I thought that was pretty badass, to be honest. Really quite nice. Yeah, so it's like I said, it's a really good series, and I recommend anybody who's thinking about getting into graphic novels, I do recommend you get into The Walking Dead, because I think it's my favourite series, and it's absolutely brilliant and very rewarding, as I said. And you could do a lot worse, to be honest. As I said, the compendium's £25, and it's an absolute bargain if you ask me. So yeah, that's the entire Walking Dead collection thus far.